Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm very honored to speak here. Um, Thank you very much. First, this time, the topic is related to tech policy. Just I'd like to mention first. Well, the other day, the Japan-U.S. summit was held on March 19th, and I understand that the Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and U.S. President Donald Trump had discussions about international affairs and bilateral relationship in a very positive atmosphere. Um, Ahead of the meeting, the two leaders posed for commemorative photos at the White House with cherry blossoms uh, sprouting, just donated by Japan. The Japanese government is now proceeding with a plan to present 250 cherry trees to the United States as it marks its 250th anniversary of independence. So that's a really a good relationship at this moment. But under this atmosphere, so there are many topics was covered in relation to tech issues. But before then, I just would like to touch upon the related to Iran. The Prime Minister Takaichi said that with energy security and stable supply in mind, particularly crude oil procurement for Japan and Asia, Japan and the United States should work together to expand the production of U.S. energy. The current situation surrounding Iran has a particularly significant impact on Asian countries, including Japan. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz will disrupt fuel procurement and supply of raw materials, especially for petrochemicals in Asian countries, potentially affecting a wide range of supply chain. I'd like to emphasize that cooperation among allies and like-minded countries to address immediate supply shortages and the prompt stabilities of the Strait of Hormuz are indispensable for the stable development of economic sectors, including technology. Well, back to the Japan-US summit, the two leaders expressed their intention to further promote cooperation, not only in ensuring stable energy supplies, but also in economic security fields, such as advanced technologies, including AI and critical minerals. In Japan, the Council for Japan's Growth Strategy has been established to fundamentally strengthen the country's economic and industrial supply structures and to implement priority investment through the public-private collaboration from a crisis management perspective. So the Council is promoting development in 17 designated strategic fields, including AI, semiconductors, communications, and critical minerals. Against this backdrop, it's not surprising to me that this time such commitments were made between US and Japan. In particular, in advanced technology fields, a memorandum on the technology prosperity deal, I think someone mentioned earlier, was signed during President Trump's visit to Japan last October. This memorandum highlights cooperation in priority areas such as AI, communications, pharmaceutical and biotechnology, quantum technologies, fusion, and space. And the memorandum momentum has continued to be maintained and strengthened. With respect to AI, cooperation between Japan and United States is anticipated. The memorandum states the expectation of promoting export across the full stack of Japanese and US AI infrastructure, hardware, models, software, applications, and related standards. On the US side, I understand that the request for proposal related to AI stack export will be announced shortly. In addition, in November last year, the Genesis mission was announced through presidential executive order, aiming to double the productivity and impact of US scientific research within 10 years through the creation of an integrated AI research platform in these priority fields. While AI implementation is in Japan is still work in progress, situation in Japan is attention in Japan is focused on so-called physical AI technologies, AI that understands, judges, and acts upon the real world, including physical space, object, people, equipment, rather than merely languages or data. Manufacturing of physical products such as robots and sensors equipped with physical AI is also being strengthened. For example, FANUC, major robot manufacturer, is planning to build a new robot factory in Michigan, state of Michigan, in anticipated of demand increase for physical AI. Japanese government led by METI also understands physical AI to be a priority area for its enforcement. Moreover, rather than pursuing very large models driven by massive GPU-based computing power, as seen among US big tech firms, Japanese companies are advancing the development of smaller, purpose-specific AI models tailored to individual segments. While some Japanese startups like Sakana AI try to create a value by linking, small multiple AIs for certain aims. So that kind of activities are now done in Japan. So I believe that so US-Japan collaborative AI stack can incorporate such a technologies. In addition, Japanese system integrators such as NEC, for example, have experience and credibility in the global south and could serve as bridges with US companies in local projects. And the expansion of data center itself by US hyperscalers, both domestically and overseas, is also understood to remain robust. Efficient use of electricity is a key issue here. In this regard, NTT, a Japan telecommunication company, is not only investing in data center for itself, but also they are trying to develop energy-saving technologies, so-called photonics electronic convergence (PEC) technologies, commonly referred to IOWN, which replaces a part of electrical signal-based lines and circuits with optical signals in data communications. NTT has already trialed optical networking between its data centers in Mumbai, India, achieving low latency. In computing, the company is currently working on optical connections between semiconductor boards and now plans to proceed with optical connections between semiconductor packages, then finally between chips within the packages. Ultimately, this is expected to achieve a 100-fold improvement in power efficiency. At the same time, standardization and establishment of the massive production framework are key challenges. In particular, optical connection between boards are also being developed by US companies such as NVIDIA and Broadcom. But in that case, still, multiple Japanese companies are also involved in a supply chain. So what I'd like to say that through the supply chain of such AI technologies, there is a bunch of possibility of collaboration between US and Japan and also other countries as well. Yeah, and by the way, about the cooling system, now cooling system accounts for 25 to 50% of electricity consumption of data centers. But there are kind of liquid type technologies in which some Japanese companies are good at, also can reduce the electricity consumption. So with the deployment of US hyperscaler data centers, so I think Japanese companies can support their activities. I think by with their surrounding infrastructure as well. Well, turning to Asia, several countries, including Malaysia, for example, are actively seeking to attract the data center and digital investments, where securing sufficient power supply is a top priority, I believe. At the same time, these countries must also pursue decarbonization. In this context, The Japanese government has proposed the Asia Zero Emission Community, so-called AZEC initiative, leverage Japanese technology and know-how to support decarbonization efforts. JBIC supports energy transition initiatives tailored to each country's needs, circumstances, such as power development, and also supports efforts toward realizing the so-called ASEAN Power Grid, APG, which aims to promote the development and utilization of clean energy through cross-border power interconnections. Although the APG itself concept has existed for more than 20 years, but the momentum toward in realization has never been stronger, driven by the dual imperatives of decarbonization and growing electricity demand from digital sectors such as data centers. Malaysia, the 2025 ASEAN chair, positioned the APZ as a top priority, if I understand correct. Private sector resources are indispensable for power development and APG realization, and Japanese companies possess strong technological capabilities in this field. Therefore, a broader form of collaboration, such as combination of hyperscaler data center expansion with power infrastructure project involving Japanese companies, are also conceivable. By the way, given the current situation stemming from Iran, development related to Iran, it should be added that these initiatives are increasingly important, not only as environmental policies, but also from the perspective of energy security and economic development in the region. The technology prosperity deal also highlights cooperation in the communication sector. Submarine cables and landing stations are critical infrastructure from a security perspective, and collaboration among like-minded countries is expected. JBIC has actively supported such efforts for many years. Notably, JBIC supported the construction of a branch line to Palau from the main US-Singapore submarine cable in 2021. At that time, we provide financing together with US and Australian grants. So such a collaboration is still very important, although US foreign policy is recognized as America first at this moment, but still win-win collaboration has remained possible and important. So therefore, not only US and Japan, but US, Japan, South Korea, and US, Japan, Australia, India, that kind of a collaboration is really important for the regional development of critical infrastructure. By the way, we have also promoted the so-called Open RAN telecom system. In December 2024, we have provided financing to an Open RAN project in Germany in the past. And we'd like to deploy such a know-how to the global south as well. Although it's a bit tough to replace with the existing vendor lock system with a new one totally. However, it's really important to deploy such infrastructure within the like-minded countries in order to secure data and trust enhancement. Well, just I would like to touch upon supply chain of AI technologies. So semiconductors are critical minerals are essential to support such supply chains. In terms of semiconductor sector, well, now I think the market has focused on not only GPU-related logics, but also kind of high bandwidth memory type, high capable memories as well. And also the market has focused on backend processing like ATP. In this regard, there are many Japanese companies who can deploy technologies such as Disco, Advantes, Resonac, and Screen for its development. So that's what I would like to say for semiconductors. And finally, about the critical mineral sectors. Well, at that recent summit meeting, the Japan-US Action Plan for Critical Mineral Supply Chain Resilience was announced. calling for discussions on including introducing a price floor. I think price floor discussion is important, as a measure to address situations in which smelters, for example, in base metals such as copper, are forced to operate under currently low treatment and refining charge. However, such efforts should expand beyond bilateral cooperation to include all like-minded countries. If Australia included, for example, we can pursue mineral sands or rare earth projects. Meanwhile, the joint fact sheet for Japan-US Critical Mineral Project Cooperation, there are so many projects listed as the potential areas for bilateral collaboration. As for JBIC, supporting projects that contribute to strengthen Japan's supply chain resilience is its mission. Therefore, we intend to proactively support projects that also result in win-win outcome with partner countries. Okay, that's all what I'll say. Thank you very much for your attention.